Hi everybody, this is Carla from Juneau, Alaska. I have returned from down south and I have to say the trip started out with a lot of crying, but ended up with a lot of awesome. It was fun. I had a good time with that. Let's get started with how this trip started. I had to get up in the wee hours of the morning because the plane was taking off at 5:20 a.m. And for those of you here in Juneau who do watch this, like Christine, um, and hi to your husband, um, you got to go through the TSA, and I don't know what the deal is with the TSA here in Juneau, but it's not like anywhere else. And I've been through some TSA lines. I'm just putting that out there. If I have wet hair, that's a problem. I have to be patted down and, of course, checked for bomb residue. If I have coconut frosting in my carry-on, I have to get pat searched and checked for bomb residue because you can only carry, just for everyone's information, if you're going through the Juneau TSA, frosting that comes in the little jugs, you can put those in your checked bag, but you can't put them in your carry-on. So no frosting on the plane in your carry-on bag. Don't do it. What else have I? Oh, okay. So this last time, and I'm going to insert the picture here in just a moment, I went through screening again, had to be stopped and pat searched and tested for bomb residue. And here's why. Yep, it's the pants. Those glorious leggings apparently are a great indicator of someone who's very naughty and wants to do harm to others. Okay, moving on. Flight down to Seattle. When I got down to Seattle, the big surprise was for me to show up on Mother's Day to surprise my friend Cindy's mom because I'm her special child. And, so I walk in there and of course I'm crying, she's crying, we're all crying. And I have a really wonderful picture of her that I'll put right here. She is magnificent. So, yeah, there was a lot of crying because I don't like the fact that she's in the facility that she's in, but unfortunately, that's where her type of chemotherapy and stuff has to go on because they don't offer that particular type here in Juneau. They do have chemotherapy here in Juneau, it's just very limited. And they're probably, I'm not sure about this, but they're slowly expanding here. So for those of you who, are thinking about moving to Juneau, and you may have or have had an issue where it may present itself again, Bartlett Regional Hospital is slowly but surely expanding its ability to provide better health care for people with any kind of leukemia or cancer or anything like that. So yay for them. Unfortunately, in this particular case, Mom has to be down there, and I think mostly she needs to be at home, but I think pretty soon she's going to be, so any time now she'll be back. I think as soon as her rounds are done, which is next week, I think. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out for sure, but so anyway, you saw what she looks like. She is a wonderful person, and I just feel so bad for anyone who has to undergo anything like that. I have a friend right now who's undergoing it here in town, luckily, but yeah, it's just, no matter what, it's just not good for you. Don't come down with a raging case of cancer. It's not good. It's not fun. Don't do it. I've seen too many people go through that. And anyway, enough of that sadness. Gosh. So, so then after Seattle, well, we did go to Pike's Place, and I'll insert some pictures here for you. It was full, and apparently there were cruise ships in. It was Mother's Day. It was a sunny day, and if you live in an area like Juneau or Seattle, places like that, the weather is rainy and a lot of the time when the sun shines, everybody goes outside. It's just the way it is. Let's just go outside. And apparently everybody did down at Pike's Place that day. It was amazing. I've never been there, and that's really weird for me because I've been to Seattle so many times and never once went downtown to look at all the stalls and stuff. And I did buy 2 really pretty rings, and let's see, we got Mom flowers, pushed her around in the wheelchair, which was actually easier than one would think because all the crowds and stuff, but everyone was pretty, I don't know, it seemed like there was a really cool vibe and a really nice flow to it all. It was overwhelming sometimes to be surrounded by so many people. Not used to that. No. So, that was a bit much, but if you just found a spot and just stood there and looked around at just all the everything, it was and wasn't overwhelming, but it was just amazing to me because I haven't been in a big city like that in a long time, just to walk around and be in the big city. I think the last time I did that was Chicago in 2011, but I was with my cousins, so they knew where they were going, what we were doing, and it was just again, so many people. I'm always overwhelmed and just in awe that so many people could be walking this earth like that. And then now I'm going to move down to Colorado and be an hour north of a city that has 3.5 million people. How is that possible? That's a lot of people. I'm just blown away. And even being down in Phoenix last week, it really didn't seem like there were that many people, but I mean, I saw a lot of traffic and stuff, but for the most part, we were never really in any crowds. So that was interesting. So then I flew down to Phoenix. Um, I should go back. On Mother's Day, um, I was trying to get a hold of my stepdad because I was going to go see him while I was down there and found out that he had had a stroke. So, more crying, of course, lots of crying. Let's all cry all weekend long, and it was just very stressful for me. So, I had, worried about mom. My stepdad is having a stroke. I don't know why. I guess he just felt it was time for that. 2 quadruple bypasses over the last 20 years. You'd think that would be good for him, but no, he has to go and have a stroke. So, and he's actually very lucky. I did see him last Tuesday. He's fine. He is luckier than a lot of other people who have strokes. So I have to say that it's going to be a lot easier for him to come back from that, for the most part. I'm not going to say he's going to completely be himself, but he can talk. He has a little bit of a memory problem. He can see the words he wants to say and sometimes have issues, but other than that, he was still there in his head. He was fine as far as that goes. He was angry because he he was kind of embarrassed because he doesn't want to be seen as weak. And just so you understand who this man is, he is one of the first original Navy SEALs. Um, and to me, that makes him Superman, and he will always be a big, strong man in my mind. So, um, yeah. So now that you understand the kind of man he is, um, you'll see why, a not very severe stroke would just bring him down in his mind. So anyway, more sadness. I'm so sorry. It seems like this whole trip was sad, but it wasn't. It was so wonderful. And, to sit there and tell him, you're still my Superman, and to see his face light up, that was awesome. Very awesome. And then he told me he didn't need me hanging around, so I should just go down and visit Ashley and her family, which I did. And I ended up taking Highway 89. And if you've ever driven in Arizona on Highway 89 from Prescott, you go about 20 to 40 miles an hour on this twisty road that takes you through the hills. They probably refer to them as mountains. They're hills, okay? I mean, we've got fjords here in Alaska. Those are mountains. So, I took the scenic route. So every couple of miles I would stop and take a picture or just listen to silence. And it was amazing and breathtaking and just, I forgot how much I liked the desert and how quiet it could be and just how far away the sky is until nighttime when the stars are right there. It's just totally amazing. So I did that, took some pictures. Then there was a detour. I took the detour and ended up at Ashley's house. And, I have a couple pictures that I'll share, but I'm not going to share all of them because honestly, you don't need to see the floor plan of their house, okay? That's a privacy thing. I'm not going to show you that. So, also, I did do an interview with Ashley Mae. She is Pinky the Pink of Make It Pink from Etsy, so I'm going to put that interview in here as well and insert the pictures as we go along because we did go to Ashley's mom, Mary, who is wonderful, by the way. She drove us to Phoenix. She is our designated driver, so we could all sit there and chit chat while we drove. And we had four uh, needlework shops to hit on our roundabout. And even though we got started fairly early in the day, it still takes an hour and a half or 2 hours to get to the first store. Of course, you're going to wander around and look at all the stuff. Then you're going to take however long it takes to drive to the second store, wander around. We didn't spend too much time in there, but then we drove a ways to the next store, and that was the last one. And I honestly don't know where the time went. I really don't, because we got to the last store a little bit before they closed, and then our fourth store was closing in 5 minutes, and that was actually quite a bit of a drive to get from the third store to the fourth store. So we ended up ending that and driving back to Ashley's house. And I gotta tell you though, I got some haul. So I'm gonna start in order. And the first the first stop that we're stopped at is Be Stitched. I'll insert the card here. And Be Stitched is a wonderful shop. It is all about the floss. That's all it is. It's floss. I'm going to try and get this open. Sorry about this. This is an issue. I'll talk about it later or not. It depends on if I remember. Okay, let me get all this out. Okay, what she does there, and her name's Lisa Kessler is the owner, and when you buy something at her shop, and I've talked about this before, I love packaging. It makes me so happy. You buy something, she puts it in this little protective little bag, and she ties it up with a bow. So this was all in a bow. I should have shown you that before I ripped it open and dumped all my floss out. But Ashley and I learned something new that day. First of all, I have not seen this much Gloriana silks in one place, and I went just a tiny bit crazy, cray in the floss store. Seriously, floss everywhere. Just, oh, I didn't realize I had that much, but I'm going to try and hold this up for you. Okay, look at those. Wait, let me get something behind it. Ah, yes, look at that. Are those beautiful or what? Oh my gosh. Yes, and I love Gloriana silks. Already tried and tested this product, so we know that it is wonderful. And then we came across Snow by Karen. And this is, the Karen collection who does like wildflower and stuff like this. This is number 26, Deep Sea Dye Lot 0111. But it has, do this again, sparkles. Let's see if you can see that. Yes, you can. Look at that. So, very super awesome. This is a 61% polyester, 39% polyester filament made in the UK. And it is lovely and sparkly, and you know what this reminds me of, and I believe Ashley and I talked about this. This would be the kind of thread that you would want to use on, what is it, Alexander Adelaide's patterns. You know how they have all the swirls and you could do it all in one color, or some people do it all in krennic, like Ashley did with her teacup, which is hanging in one of the shops in Wickenburg, Arizona. By the way, yeah, her stitching's gone everywhere. It's amazing, and I got to look at it. It is gorgeous in person. And you all know this. All cross stitch looks so much better in person than it does in a picture or on a video. You just can't truly enjoy it unless you're standing right there looking at it. And I got to look at some cross stitch. It was gorgeous. But yeah, the Snow by Karen, get some of that. I mean, to me, would be a great idea for any of those kind of patterns. And then here's something we learned. Threadworks takes krennic, and then I'm going to try and pull this up a little bit so that you can see the floss. They take krennic and there's something else in here. Oh, yes, my pen. And they hand over dye it. Isn't that lovely? And I'm thinking, oh, and even Ashley was excited about that. I mean, it was kind of confusing because here you have a brand, Threadworks, and then you already have the well-established brand of Krennic, and then Threadworks just took it another step further, and we had never seen that either. So apparently that's not normal. I don't know. It's funny what you find when you visit these specialty needlework shops. I mean, it's awesome. So we found that. Can't stop playing with it because it's really pretty. It's my fall colors with gold, red, green, sparkle. And then not only did they have that, they had so much more. There was so much silk there. There's a lot of silk at that shop. And then they had, let me get these up here. I ended up getting a rainbow of, I'm going to try and hold it up here if I can with my brace on. A rainbow of Krennic. And this is all number 4, very fine braid. Um, Beautiful colors. I don't have any of those, so now I do. But for those of you who think that you want to get the entire collection of Krennic, it's going to take you a while, but it's possible, and we saw it there at that store. It is huge. Yes. Yay for you, Dave Krennic and at Krennic Girl on Twitter. And then I got this cool little pin in one of the shops. It's a Cocapelli on there. I just thought I needed a shiny rainbow pen. I don't know why, I just thought it was cool. That's what going to tourist shops is all about, finding silly things like pens. And then, okay, so the next store was, let's see, the one in Old Town. Okay, so we went to Old Town. I'll insert the picture of the card right here. And, okay, I have to dig for a second. I did get, la 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 la. Oh, good, they have stickers on here that tell me where I bought them. You guys are gonna flip out when you see all this. So, we found all of these Stony Creek Quilted with Love series patterns, and I got this. Let's see that. There we go. I got this there, but here is the complete set. There we go. And I got one for Ashley as well. And Ashley found, it's an ice cream cone which could be made into a needle minder, but it is gigantic. Or it is a needle minder, but it's gigantic. And I'll insert that picture here. I have to say that Old Town Needleworks, it has a lot of stuff in it, but it seems to me that down in Arizona, one of the big deals down there is patterns printed on the fabric. And a lot of the fabric is that Hardanger or the canvas type. I don't think I got a picture of it when I was at the Be Stitched store, but they had a wall that had all those on it, but it was mostly thread. So it was interesting to me to see how that's a thing down there. I don't know if that's a thing for anywhere else, but it seemed to be trending down in Phoenix. But I am kind of a cross-stitch snob, and you will read the pattern and you will put it on blank fabric and you will be happy. Some of those, though, we picked up one and it was like $110, and that's for the piece of fabric that had the pattern printed on it, but there was nothing else with it. It wasn't like fully kitted or anything like that. It was just the pattern for $110. And I'm thinking, oh no, for $110, I could kit up, I don't know, what's my most expensive one? I don't think I've ever spent that much money kitting anything up. Anyway, moving on from that. Then the last store we hit was almost the one, because Ashley and I were discussing about, each store has its own flavor and its own thing, right? Which I love. You got a specialty shop like Be Stitched, all that beautiful floss. Oh, yes. I mean, that's worth it right there. And Old Town Needlework, they have these patterns in these little racks, but most of it was a wall of floss. There's some framing back there, I think. I can't remember what else, but it was like an old lady store where they just kind of threw their stash in there and you just have to dig around. It's kind of like that. And so that was a fun little store to go to. And then the last one was Attic Needlework and Collectibles. Do that. And I'll insert the picture right here. So we went in there, and that store was full of people. Oh, yeah. Yes, it was. So it was almost the store. And now, keep in mind, this is like the second time that I have ever gone to a needlework store. I have seen the needlework stores on videos that you guys have put on Floss Tube, and then I went to the needlework garden in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was there in 2015. And that store, in my mind, is the store to go to. But I'm comparing that store, which I love so much, and not because it's in Albuquerque, but it's because it had all the floss and it had all the wonderful patterns and it had everything, and it was just set up really nicely. It wasn't big, but it was big enough, and I was still overwhelmed in such a small shop. And now being exposed to these different kinds of stores, with I don't know how many million people are in Phoenix and the surrounding area, but I think having these needlework stores, there should be sufficient business, right? I'm thinking, yeah. Because you also have Hobby Lobby, you have Joann's, you have Michael's, all those down there. There's plenty to go around. But Attic Needlework, there were a lot of women in there, chit-chatting, talking, going on and on about whatever they were going on about. But when we walked in the door on the last one, this one was great because Ashley, with her eagle eye, came across a basket that was right by the door. And she says, "Oh, Halloween patterns, half off." We went through it together. So I ended up with, let's see if I can do this, with this. And We all know I like praiseworthy stitches, and I managed to get Midnight Fright and Harvest House. Very cool. I love Rosewood Manor, and here are two blue birds, which was on my wish list for a really long time. Got that for, what did I get that for? It was like $5.50 is what I got it for because it was half off. But yeah. And then I got Quaker Gone Spooky. It's Michelle Ink Needlework Designs, distributed by Stitching Pretty. Boop. And there's that one. Oh yeah. And then we got to wandering around because this store is kind of big, and they have these twirly racks with Plum Street. We know I like Plum Street. So adorable. I love the lady on top of the pumpkin. Babushka's Blossoms. And living so close to Russia and have a lot of Russian Orthodox here in Alaska. Oh, Babushka's Blossoms. Who's a little babushka? I'm not. And then I found this really pretty, because I have, wait, let me see if I can grab them with my gimpy arm. You know I have all of these. Well, look what I found. Tapestry. Oops, can you see that? Yes, you can. Tapestry by Ink Circles. Had to have it because, my God. Let me turn this around. How awesome is that? I'm going to say yes. And even though they have, let's see, what are they using? Weeks Dye Works, according to the back of the thing here. I'm thinking I'm going to just use these because why not? And I know there's probably enough here to cover all that because I still have Gloriana silk left over from that one skein that I bought one time back in Bandcamp, and oh my gosh. So while I was away, well, anyway, so the Attic Needlework and Collectibles shop was actually pretty awesome as far as patterns and stuff. They're more of a sampler shop. We found a couple of really old Nora Corbett alphabets, you know, the old ones before she got super fancy and went all memorabilia, you know. So we found a couple of those, and Ashley got one, I think. But for the most part, it's a sampler shop. Everything about it is about historical samplers, new samplers, you know, Rosewood Manor, that sort of thing, Plum Street, Primitive Hair, you know, it's just a sampler shop. So that's what the flavor of that store was like. And then we didn't hit the fourth one, which is too bad because now super curious about what that one's all about. So next time I go to Arizona and hang out for a few days, I know we're going to go hit that because it's probably driving them nutty too. Mary and Ashley. Because now we're like, this is really interesting. Ah, so fun. And upon my return, I did get the next batch of Color and Cotton floss, the next 5. See that? Really pretty. I like those. The pink and the yellow are Dutch Tulip, the green is Spearmint, the blue is Cloud Gazing, and this greeny one is Wood Nymph, which, you know, I'd have to agree. That's kind of the color I would think of if I thought of a wood nymph. So, right on. So that's the next 5 on that. So that was a nice thing to come back to. So, also got to talking with Ashley's mom, Mary, and she paints. She is a burgeoning painter, But she tried painting buttons, and we were talking about the buttons because I do collect buttons for things that I make, crochet, what have you. And this is just an example. Let me get this right here in my fingers of one of her buttons. Is that not pretty? And she gave them to me, and I feel so special because her main concern is she's worried that if anyone tried washing whatever they put the buttons on, the paint would come off. So I'm gonna do a little lick test one of these days and maybe coat them again in some polyurethane or something to make sure that the color never leaves. Maybe some beeswax. That would be more natural, I think. Something, but I want to put these on something super special and keep them forever. But what a wonderful gift to give me is something that you painted, and I love them. I thought I lost them for a minute. I found them because they were in my purse. I wouldn't lose them. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start the interview with Ashley. And I know it seems like this video is going to be a little bit long, but I think you'll agree that Ashley's wonderful. She's very intelligent, and I think you're going to like her. So here we go. Have to.
Oh, well, all right.
I know. Should have done this to begin with, right? Okay. And all this can be edited out. All right. All right. Let's begin. Once upon a time.
Yes.
All right. Hi, I'm Carla, and this is Ashley Mae of Pinky the Pink.
Yes.
Make It Pink on Etsy. We're going to interview her today and figure out how she do the things she do. And is there anything you want to say before we get into it?
I apologize for not wearing pink. That's all I gotta say.
Well, so we have a couple questions, but I think before we start that, because it all ends up getting addressed anyway, let's go with the beginner tags that are normal. When did you start stitching, and who got you stitching?
I started stitching in 5th grade. I don't remember how old I was when that happened. Whenever 5th grade happened. And then Mom got me started. Somewhere on the internet there's a year posted somewhere. Because I used to tell the story, but I don't know it anymore. So Mom got me started.
So in the beginning it was your mom.
It was my mom.
So that was, let's see, if you were in 5th grade, you were about 10?
Maybe.
10-ish.
10-ish.
And what's your favorite kind of thing to stitch?
I like to stitch dresses. All the dresses.
Which brings up a good question. Why dresses?
I don't know. They make me happy.
Because they're pretty.
Yeah, like I did the Mirabilia dresses, and I buy the Brooks Books patterns, which are dresses. And pretty much anytime I see a dress, whether it's like an angel or a fairy or just dresses, I just have to have all those patterns. They have to be mine. So, I don't know why.
Especially ones with beads?
Yeah, all the beads. Or things that are easily replaced with beads. Like if she has a stitched necklace, you know, just replace those with beads, and there you go.
Yes, I agree. Or French knots.
No. Beads. Never a French knot.
They will be beads.
Yeah.
And let's see. I'm going through here. When did you start creating patterns?
Oh. Like really started creating them, or started creating them like
I think back when
just
you were
when I was doing
like
it.
Pictures to patterns, like when you did Nancy's. Was that before
It must have been pretty early, like soon after I moved to Arizona. And I mean, I know it's on my DeviantArt account. I have like this fire pattern. It's like just an image I lifted off Google, and it's this fire. I don't know. I did it on black fabric. I don't know what year it was though. It was a while ago. And I took the image off Google and said, make it a pattern, you know, and just took whatever it gave me. I didn't do anything to it.
You're just like, bam, there it is.
Yeah, there it is, on with my life.
Well, if I can find it, I'll insert it right here.
Okay. And then as far as like the style I'm doing right now, I got a customer order for me that she wanted like this dog with sunflowers, and it was like this hand-drawn picture, and she said she only wanted like 2 shades of gray and the yellow, whatever she said. And I was like, the usual just picture to pattern, it's not gonna do that very well.
I have to learn things.
I took it and I outlined all the things and then just like made the flowers like just solid yellow. And I was like, well, that worked. And then I redid your koi.
Yes.
And then
I didn't know that was one of your first ones.
In this style, because I was doing it a little bit with the Disney princesses. Like, I couldn't just convert them. Like, people got excited when they saw that, but it wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't satisfied. Like, their faces are all just pixelated when you do that. So
yes.
I went in and I was touching it up, and then I just got really into the super detail.
The super details. And doop, 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 doop. Why did you choose the patterns you have in your Etsy store?
I'm a big fan of Muka's work. I think we have some book tables around here somewhere. I don't know where they're at, but we have some of his stuff. And the Art Nouveau is just, again, it's all over this house. I know you can't see it on the camera, but it's everywhere. And it's so flowery and swirly and pretty, and I just like need it in my life. And then Hannah was posting her art, and I was like, ooh, dresses and Muka. Like, I kind of need this. And then she was nice enough to let me. So those are in my store because she let me. And then other patterns like Calipish is letting me work with the birds. I really like birds. So, I mean, it's mostly just stuff I like in there. And I hope other people like too.
I do. And let's see. Doop, 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 doop. Okay. Oh, here's a good one from Felicia. Are you an artist as well?
I think so.
In what way?
Well, I mean, I'm doing a whole lot of art every day. I know. What do you define an artist as? Someone who makes
Well,
things?
I think in this particular case, she's talking about
do I do my own drawing and stuff? No, not really. I mean, I do like MS Paint stick figures. I don't think it counts as being an artist. That can be art. Like, I can draw a circle and another circle and put a dumb hat on it and call it a quail. But it's not going to pass as art. I'm sure if people dive into my scraps in DeviantArt, they can see some of, like, I have a penguin riding a dragon. Nice. Is on there.
Penguin riding a dragon.
I mean, that's the future. That's how penguins will achieve flight.
So what sparked your interest in changing picture to pattern?
Other than money, I wanted pretty stuff to do for myself. I find it difficult to get like just dress patterns. Like, I know obviously the Mirabilia and Brooks that I mentioned earlier, but it's like, it's not always what I want. And so in order to get something that I want, I kind of have to be able to do it myself or pay someone else to do it. And I don't have a ton of money to just spend on other people making me patterns. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I learned to do it.
And are you what is that word? Oh, you are a stitcher.
I am a stitcher. I sew.
Oh, and you sew.
I sew and stitch and embroider, and soon we'll crochet. Yeah.
Yes. How long does it take to convert a piece of art to a pattern?
Depends on how difficult it is. So like that thing with the dogs and the flowers that I was talking about, like that only took, I mean, maximum 3 hours, because I do the colors and then I make all the symbols readable and then I package it. So it's not a really difficult process at that point, but like the Muka princesses take 20 hours each. I mean, because I go through them, I have to clean them up, I have to do all the lines, I have to do all the colors, check the colors, make all the symbols readable, package them, and then send them out. It's just very time consuming for each of them.
So speaking of your princess patterns, I know you sell them in groups of 3 or singles. So in the groups of 3, which set do you have the least of now?
The very first set, the one that's Rapunzel, Belle, and Merida.
Okay.
I have the least of those left.
So those are the ones that people need to grab up now, or they'll be gone forever. And they're gone forever, right?
Yeah, I talked to Hannah a little bit at the beginning, like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And she was like, if they're really like in demand, she might consider a reissue. But otherwise, it's like there's 50 of them at the end. That's all I got. So I have to respect her. She's being so nice to let me do it.
So when you sell the sets, does that take away from the single?
No, there's 50 sets and 50 singles. So there's like technically 100 bell patterns.
Okay.
But you can only get one of the bells, you know, as the set and one of them as the single. So there's 50.
Perfect. That means there's a lot left. So we're fine. We're fine. Nobody panic.
No one freak out.
And okay, so we should talk about Felicia's question about, will there be any more Disney damsels?
End question.
These?
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked Hannah about, she has an Anastasia in her gallery.
Yes.
And I asked her about it because I got a message about it. They were like, "Oh, convert this," and so I asked Hannah. And she said she wasn't happy with it, and so I couldn't convert it. And I was like, "Well, can you get happy with it? Like, I kind of want to convert that one too, but she, you know, if she's not happy letting me do it, then obviously I can't do it." Yeah. And so if she makes more, and if she's happy with me doing it, yeah, of course I'll make more. I'm in love with her art.
Have you considered doing adaptations of any other artist's work?
Yes, and I do.
Anyone in particular?
The Little Paper Forest on DeviantArt.
Let me write that down.
I did her the Candy Cane Queen.
That's right.
And I can't say his name, and he keeps changing his username. But Genesis, which is not his username anymore. I did his. That's the black work with the lady with the lighthouse. That's his.
Oh, you mean Little Red Riding Cthulhu?
Yes.
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 That's not what it's called. That's just what it looks like to me. It's really awesome.
That's his work. And then I have a Calipish with the owls.
Yeah.
I have. Ooh, what's her username? There's that girl I did wearing the red dress. She's got yellow flowers on her shoulders. Find that username and then just put it in the subtitles right here. That's who she was. Because I'm very thankful for her work, and there's, Maxivert is her name. Maxyvert. Maxivert. And she has another one that's like in a blue dress, I feel like, that I haven't converted yet because I haven't asked her about it yet, but that would be good. I would like to do more of her things.
She'd probably say yes.
She'd probably say yes, but I don't know. I haven't asked. And then there's other artists that I have asked that don't respond to me. So
they're probably wondering what I'm talking about, because that's generally what you get. Like the guy with what was his name? Sirokoi?
Yeah, the koi. Yeah. Was that his name or just the name of the art?
The name of the art was Sirokoi.
Oh, darkly shaded shadow.
That is correct. Yes. He didn't know what it was, and so I said, well, if you go to my gallery, you'll see, and he came like bam, like that. So he was really awesome. And that's why I knew when you got a hold of him, he'd be totally down with it. And let's see. Okay, so with the more serious artists, we'll use Hannah Alexander for an example because she has a lot of art that is in that particular style, and everyone loves it, and she sells her prints in Etsy. But for the cross stitcher who wants to own her art but stitch it, it does require some form of contracting with you.
Right. So like I asked Hannah, could I do this? And she put on the limit, like the limited edition numbers. She's like, you can only sell this many of them. She didn't want them mass produced. She didn't want her artwork getting out. And like, I needed the watermark free versions of the art to work with. And so she was like, she didn't really want to like give, because she didn't know me. Right. Yeah. And so she didn't want to like give me her stuff and then I go and like make a bunch of t-shirts.
I don't know you.
Yeah. So I was like, like I kind of need this high resolution image, and you know, I mean, it worked out, but it's kind of like she has to trust me and I have to beg her. Please let me make patterns.
I will worship at your feet.
Please.
Yes.
But I mean, as far as contract goes, like there's no exclusivity to what I'm doing. Other people could start making Hannah patterns with her permission, and there's really nothing I could do about it. But I mean, that's her choice. She's the artist. I'm just graciously allowed to work with her stuff. And that's okay with me.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. Thanks. Color patterns, people. Color patterns. Oh my gosh. And I had a question for you, and
then you didn't write it down?
Slipped through into the abyss of my mind. Okay, so other than dresses and, you know, the accidental koi.
Right, the accidental fish, bird.
And you've got birds. Are there, do you go through artists specifically on DeviantArt to support the artist community?
I don't know if I would say it specifically to do that. It's more like I spend 8 hours a day on DeviantArt, and so I'm mostly exposed to that. I mean, like, there was one lady who wanted, she wanted me to do a pattern conversion for her. And he was on DeviantArt, but he wasn't responding to her on DeviantArt. So we went to Facebook and got his permission there. So, I mean...
Which makes sense.
If I had seen him on Facebook instead of DeviantArt, you know, I would have been just as likely, I think, to send him a message and ask for permission. It's just that I'm usually on DeviantArt. I think Instagram would be kind of weird, because I'm not really active on there. It'd be and just come out of the blue like, hey, I want it to use your art. But on DeviantArt, I'm really established. Yes. And so if I send something, you know, it doesn't look like spam. It looks like, hey, I have a reasonable offer for you.
Or your I am on Facebook goes into the other file.
Oh yeah,
that's really
I hate that, because people send me questions on there and I never even know until I'm on my computer again, and it's like, oh, you have 3 unread in the other folder from 3 months ago.
Or you never see them, and 15 years later.
Yeah, it's better if they're trying to message me on Facebook. It's better to message my page. Because my page will get the notification. It doesn't have an other folder. You
mean go to your page?
Yeah, the Make It Pink Etsy message instead of my personal Facebook, which will filter
because that's instant. That is like, bam. And let's see. And we've answered these questions. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Thanks for coming to Arizona. Oh. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having a really comfortable bed.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And thanks to all the peoples out there for stitching my patterns, because it makes me really, really happy to see the progress photos. And I'm like, oh, I was part of this. It's not just random work in progress stuff on the internet. Like, Hannah chose those colors.
Ashley did this.
And now you're doing this.
Are doing
and
that.
We're all together. And it's great.
That's all together. Yes, just like the game the other night. We're all together. It's a
Okay.
good thing.
Yay.
Yeah. Do this real quick. Okay, hot coffee. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Oh, wait. Carla, you changed your shirt.
Oh. Just a repeat. Okay, so I would love to know how you arrive at your prices.
I have a formula, and it's materials times 2 plus money per hour, and then that's in brackets, and then it's times 1 times 1. That's how I do it. And that formula right now is being trashed and redone.
Okay. And do you have a tendency to underprice your work, and how do you overcome that?
I stick to a formula, so I do not overprice, over or under, really.
E equals MC squared.
Yeah.
And what have been your most successful marketing tools?
Etsy and DeviantArt. Etsy has a page that lets me see which tags are popular.
Yeah.
And DeviantArt is just generally kind of brings people in because I'm so active on there.
Active. Stay active.
Because like Etsy has its like forum and community thing, but I've never felt like it does anything because it's just a bunch of people trying to market themselves, you know? So it's, you know, no one really wants to be a community. Everyone just wants sales. So kind of, I mean, that's the gist I got anyway. Maybe there's really nice communities on Etsy.
I've never tried, so I don't know. And let's see. Did you ever feel those not so good enough feelings about calling yourself an artist and designer? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Yes. And I'm going to tell a different story from our first date.
Okay.
That lady in town who told me to come with dresses, and then when I actually had dresses for her, she was like, maybe you should come back with jewelry instead. And I was like, maybe you could have told me that a month ago when I didn't have my hopes up.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do anything for another month because I was super ticked. And how did I overcome it? I said, F that lady, and went back about my business. I said, she doesn't matter, and I'm not going to shop with her anymore.
Yeah, that's just one lady, so whatever. And that was
So
that.
that's the questions. But I also wanted to mention
Yes.
Elucid's triangle, because I forgot to earlier.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure it's a she, but just in case he designed the dragon, that stained glass dragon.
And I'll insert that here.
And then Granite Fire and Duke Waxeye. They've been helping me too.
Yes,
with
with
art.
the cute bird and some anime.
Yes.
Anime is always a good decision.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. That's always so fun. As you can see, Ashley is really wonderful, and we had a really good time. Just watching her again, it makes me miss her. And I just left her a few days ago, so yeah, I'll be going back there a lot. She is really fun. I got to get the other girls down there because that is a wonderful place to have a stitching retreat. So I got to tell you all, if you want a nice quiet place to have a stitching retreat, they have houses for rent on, what is it called, Airbnb, or there are a few little kind of like spas. They're like fancy hotels that are out in the middle of nowhere. They have those out there, and if you do a group thing, there are group rates. We have looked into this, so that's how I know this. Um, so yeah, consider that. Get your friends together. They could be all over the United States or the world for that matter. Get them together and do some stitching. And so we plan on doing that with at least a couple of us, get us together and do that. And maybe someday in the future I'll have, several of us in one spot, um, talking about stitching and doing our thing, and I can introduce you to the girls. So, um, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or whatever you want to say, all the links for everything will be down below. And gosh, yeah, just a wonderful time. And I'll be seeing her again in August. So maybe I can floss tube a little bit more. And if you guys have more questions to ask Ashley, or you feel you just want to know more about her patterns, or questions about the patterns, anything, she's very open, as you could see, and she was really fun. So, yeah. So, Anyway, I'll end this for now because it's like a gabillion hour long situation here, and you're probably sick of my face. So, you guys have a beautiful day, and until next time, keep on stitching.